Every time you spray your kitchen counter, you breathe in synthetic chemicals. The disinfectant industry moves $30 billion a year on these products. There is one leaf that killed 99% of bacteria on contact. It grows in a pot. It has been doing this for 2,000 years, and by the end of this video, you will know what it is, why it was buried, and how to grow it. Hi, I am Harry, and this is Garden Explained with Harry. 2,400 years ago, on the island of Kos in Greece, a physician named Hippocrates treated infected wounds with a leaf. He crushed it. He pressed it into open cuts and sores. He burned it in rooms where the sick were dying. He did not understand why it worked. He understood that it worked. That same physician is the reason every doctor today takes the Hippocratic Oath. His observations became the foundation of Western medicine, and one of his most reliable tools was a leaf that modern medicine has completely forgotten. 300 years later in Rome, a military physician named Dioscorides compiled everything the ancient world knew about medicinal plants. His book was called De Materia Medica. It remained the most important pharmaceutical text in Western civilization for 1,500 years. Physicians across Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa consulted it for generations. In its pages, Dioscorides recorded this same leaf for treating skin infections and digestive illness. Roman soldiers carried it in their field kits. Roman temples burned it during purification rituals. The smoke filled marble halls, not for ceremony, but for sanitation. When the Black Death reached Europe in 1347, it killed 1 out of every 3 people on the continent. Physicians in plague cities wore long beak masks stuffed with aromatic plants. They filled iron censers with leaves and burned them in sick rooms, hospitals, and public squares. They walked through streets littered with the dead, breathing through bundles of volatile herbs. This leaf was among them. Not because of superstition, because 2,000 years of accumulated observation told them that something in the smoke kept people alive longer. In 1653 in London, an English herbalist named Nicholas Culpeper published The Complete Herbal. It became one of the most widely read medical books in the English language. Culpeper prescribed this leaf for infections, for bruises, for respiratory illness. Households across England followed his instructions. Mothers crushed the leaves and applied them to their children's wounds. That book stayed in print for 3 centuries. The knowledge was there in black ink on white paper for anyone who could read. Across the Mediterranean, from Morocco to Turkey, from southern Italy to the Greek islands, rural families did something with this leaf that had nothing to do with medicine or cooking. They placed the leaves inside grain storage containers, not for flavor. The leaves prevented mold from forming on stored wheat and barley. They repelled grain beetles and weevil larvae. Families in these regions kept food safe for months, using a handful of leaves from a plant growing next to their front door. This was antimicrobial technology deployed at the household level centuries before anyone invented a spray bottle. 5 civilizations, 24 centuries, open wounds and plague rooms and grain stores. The documentation fills thousands of pages across dozens of languages. The evidence was never hidden. So the question becomes very simple. Why is this leaf not in your cleaning cabinet right now? The leaf contains an essential oil with more than 50 identified chemical compounds. The dominant compound makes up 30 to 50% of the oil. It is the same compound that pharmaceutical companies put in chest rubs and vapor treatments. Open a jar of mentholated ointment. That sharp, clean smell that opens your airways. The leaf produces it naturally. The second compound in the oil is used by dentists every single day. When a dentist sterilizes a root canal, The antiseptic solution contains this exact molecule. It has been standard in dental practice for over a century. The leaf makes it in its cells without any industrial process whatsoever. The third compound shows up in expensive aromatherapy products sold at $20 per small bottle in health food stores. Marketed as a calming and purifying agent, the leaf contains it alongside the other 50 compounds for free. Researchers tested the essential oil against Staphylococcus aureus. This is the bacterium responsible for most skin infections and a significant percentage of food poisoning cases in American kitchens. The oil killed more than 90% of the bacteria. They tested it against E. coli, the contamination that triggers food recalls and sends thousands of people to emergency rooms every year. The oil killed it. They tested it against Pseudomonas, the bacterium that colonizes hospital surfaces and is notoriously difficult to eliminate. The oil killed that too. In separate testing, researchers exposed MRSA to the essential oil. MRSA is methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. It is the antibiotic-resistant strain that terrifies hospital infection control teams worldwide. The oil disrupted the bacterial cell membranes. The bacteria could not survive. And here is the part that matters most. The bacteria could not develop resistance to the oil the way they develop resistance to synthetic antibiotics. A single drug attacks through one mechanism. Bacteria mutate around that single mechanism, but a complex oil with 50 compounds attacks through dozens of mechanisms simultaneously. The bacteria cannot adapt fast enough. The leaf has been winning this war for millions of years. Now open the cabinet under your kitchen sink. Look at the bottles: Lysol, Clorox, Dettol, Pine Sol. Whatever brand you buy. Read the back of the label. Quaternary ammonium compounds, sodium hypochlorite, hydrogen peroxide solutions. These are the active ingredients in nearly every household disinfectant on the market. Every one of them is manufactured in a chemical plant. Every one of them requires industrial processing, plastic packaging, and a distribution network that stretches across continents. Every one of them generates repeat purchase revenue. You spray it, you run out, you buy another bottle. The cycle never ends. The global household disinfectant market generates over $30 billion annually. Reckitt Benckiser, the company that owns Lysol, reported over $16 billion in total revenue in 2023. Clorox reported over $7 billion. These numbers are not incidental. They depend on one structural reality: you must keep buying. Now consider the leaf. It grows in a pot. One plant produces harvestable leaves year-round. The essential oil is released the moment you crush the leaf. No factory, no bottle, no barcode, no repeat purchase. A single plant can live for 50 years or more. Your grandchildren could harvest from the same plant you buy this week. No corporation benefits from this transaction. In the United States, any product that claims to kill germs on a surface must be registered with the Environmental Protection Agency as a pesticide. The registration process costs millions of dollars. It requires years of testing, legal review, and regulatory compliance. A chemical company with a legal department and a patented formulation can afford this. A leaf that anyone can grow on a windowsill cannot be registered because no one owns it. No one can file the paperwork for a plant that belongs to everyone. The regulation was designed to protect consumers from false claims. In practice, it functions as an economic wall. On one side of that wall are corporations with budgets large enough to register their synthetic formulations. On the other side is a leaf with 2,000 years of documentation and peer-reviewed laboratory results that no one can bring to market because there is no market owner. The wall does not protect you. It protects revenue. A natural compound complex cannot be patented. A leaf that grows on a windowsill cannot generate licensing fees. A plant that lives for half a century cannot sustain the repeat purchase cycle that publicly traded companies report to shareholders every quarter. Every characteristic that makes this leaf powerful for you makes it worthless for them. You already have this leaf in your house. You have almost certainly cooked with it this month. You just never knew what it could actually do. The plant is bay laurel, Laurus nobilis. In your kitchen, you call it the bay leaf. It is sitting in a jar in your spice rack right now. The same leaf you drop into soups and stews and fish out before serving. The same leaf most people consider nothing more than a mild background flavoring with no real importance. Here is what happened to it. A fresh bay laurel leaf picked from a living plant contains 2 to 3 times the essential oil concentration of the dried leaf in that jar you bought 6 months ago. The antimicrobial compounds are volatile. They evaporate over time. Every week that leaf sits in a warehouse, a shipping container, or a grocery store shelf, it loses potency. By the time it reaches your kitchen, it is a shadow of what it was when it was alive. The spice industry sells you dead leaves stripped of the very compounds that made them valuable for 2,000 years. In Greece, they call it Daphne. In Turkey, Defne yapragi. In India, it is Tejpata, documented in Ayurvedic medical texts for centuries. In Morocco, cooks place it in tagines not only for flavor, but because generations of experience taught them the food stays safe longer when the leaf is present. In Italy, they call it alloro, the laurel of poets and emperors. When the Romans crowned their victors with laurel wreaths, the tradition was not merely decorative. The laurel represented purification. The Romans understood at a practical level what the laboratory confirmed 2 millennia later. 2 industries profit from the same erasure. The spice industry removed the potency by drying the leaf into irrelevance. The disinfectant industry filled the gap with synthetic chemicals sold in plastic bottles. One made the leaf weak. The other made you forget it was ever strong. But the plant does not care about supply chains. It grows. It produces leaves. Those leaves still do what they have always done. Bay laurel is one of the oldest container plants in European horticulture. The Palace of Versailles grew them in ornamental pots from the 17th century onward. The grand orangeries of France and England maintained rows of potted bay laurel trees through every winter. This is not a plant that requires acreage or a greenhouse or special equipment. It needs a pot with drainage. It needs basic potting soil mixed with a handful of perlite. It needs a windowsill. Buy a starter plant from any garden center for $10 to $15, or take a cutting from a neighbor who already grows one. Place it in a pot. Water it when the top inch of soil dries out. Bay laurel tolerates drought. It tolerates poor soil. It tolerates inconsistent care. The one thing it will not tolerate is waterlogged roots. Give it drainage and it will survive nearly anything else. The plant is evergreen. It does not go dormant in winter. It produces harvestable leaves 12 months of the year indoors. Outdoors, it grows year-round in USDA zones 8 through 10, which covers the southern United States, coastal California, and equivalent climates across southern Europe. Everywhere else, keep it in a pot and bring it inside before the first frost. It thrives next to a sunny window. To use it, crush a fresh leaf and rub it across a cutting board. The essential oil releases immediately on contact. You can feel it on your fingers. You can smell it in the air. That smell is the antimicrobial compounds volatilizing. Infuse fresh crushed leaves into warm water or white vinegars to release their essential oils. While a mild tea won't match the concentrated power of pure distilled essential oil, a bay-infused vinegar spray creates an effective, natural surface cleaner for everyday wiping. Infuse fresh leaves in white vinegar for 2 weeks. Mediterranean households have been making this cleaning solution for generations. Place whole fresh leaves in pantry containers, in flour bins, in rice storage. This is the same technique that kept grains safe across southern Europe and North Africa for centuries before refrigeration existed. The economics are simple. 1 plant, $15. Unlimited leaves for decades. The average American household spends between $80 and $120 per year on cleaning products. In 5 years, that plant has replaced $500 worth of spray bottles. In 10 years, over $1,000. The plant is still alive. The Lysol bottles are in a landfill, decomposing over the next 400 years. The research exists, published in journals, reviewed by scientists. The compounds are identified, the kill rates are documented, the mechanisms are understood. None of this is secret. None of it is disputed by the people who study it. It is simply not profitable for the people who sell you the alternative. Every year, $30 billion flows from household budgets to chemical manufacturers for products that a potted plant on a windowsill could partially replace. The plant cannot be patented. The oil cannot be made proprietary. The leaf cannot be licensed or trademarked or sold as a subscription. There is no version of bay laurel that requires a monthly auto shipment to your front door. Your grandmother probably knew this. Her grandmother certainly did. Somewhere between the 17th century and the 20th, the knowledge did not disappear. It was simply made unnecessary by companies that offered a more convenient, more expensive, and more profitable replacement. They did not suppress the leaf. They made you forget you needed it by putting something louder in a brighter bottle on a lower shelf. The bay laurel does not care about quarterly earnings reports. It does not care about EPA registration fees or shareholder expectations or advertising budgets. It has been growing in pots and courtyards and rocky hillsides across 3 continents for longer than any corporation has existed on this planet. It just needs a pot, some soil, and someone who remembers what it can do.